You ready?
No.
Come on. All the equipment's already running.
What? What do you want? What?
Okay, ready?
No.
Okay.
No,
1,
ruin
2,
the clip.
3.
No, no, no.
Okay, so we've officially started. Okay. Okay, so we're here today to go over my art pieces, and then
I'm listening.
and then 2, we're gonna talk about our feelings. So the format will kind of be like, I'll bring up a piece, I'll kind of talk about the background and my my thoughts about the piece. And then I'll open it up to you. You like ask for like your interpretations, what you think about it, and then we'll kind of like also try to get into like how your feelings have changed over time. Like, okay. You should also speak up. Okay. Let's kick this off. Okay.
Now it's more you breaking down than me.
Okay, so this is the first piece. This is also the only piece you know and that I collaborated with you on at all.
You mean Michi? That one.
Yeah, this one. So this is the piece. This is the first piece in my series. It's talks a little bit about like the beginning of our relationship, and this is specifically about the first time you stayed over at my place. And so I'm not gonna ask for your interpretation of this as much because actually, wait, let's go. What do you see?
A tree.
A tree, really?
Yeah.
Where? Like
The main trunk of it, and then a branch. And
Oh,
then someone
yeah.
vomited color on it.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, so like I remember when I first finished this, I like posted it on my Instagram and asked people like, what do you think this is about? Because I feel like,
But how many likes did you get?
oh my god, that's not important. The point for that one was specifically to figure out like what are people's first interpretations of this piece, because I think this is a piece where it's very context dependent to understand kind of the meaning and the importance of it, because I think just looking at it, it kind of looks like a mess. And so like, because this is about like the first time we were like together, I remember, at least for me, I was just like really happy. I was very giggly, and I really liked being with you. I think partially because it was like very new, and partially just because I liked you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's like kind of on this side. It's like it's very childish, it's very bright, it's very colorful, and it's kind of like all over the place. And I felt like that's just how I felt. And then I remember like for this piece specifically, I asked you, how did you feel about that night? And it was a very weird process getting you to tell me about your feelings, because you were just like, your feet were cold. I had fun. I was thinking like, what were you thinking? I was like, oh, what is Darren gonna do today? Like, what else do you remember? Like, how else you felt that like one night?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That was good. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like I think like immediately when you said those things, I was kind of like, oh, your feelings are much more like grounded in like actual things. I felt like I was trying to very capture like the emotional essence of what I was feeling, but that didn't pertain to like individual details about ourselves or like what was actually going on. And so that's kind of like what I feel like I use like more like earth related colors like green and blue. I wanted more structure.
But what's your circles or ovals?
Yeah. So it was kind of like, that's actually everything is rounded out, because I feel like I remember one thing that you talked about was like you were like kind of curious like how I would feel and like what I was doing, and like to me that meant that like you cared. And so like I think things that are like rounded, not as sharp, not as like show like softness. It's like it's showing that like child things are usually very round and soft, because
Okay.
that's like cute and like not as like much of a danger.
Okay. My friend said something else that's kind of funny.
Really, what?
He wanted a tattoo of a circle on himself, and Because if someone asks them what that tattoo's about,
Uh
it's pointless.
huh.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. But so this is the only piece that you actually know,
Mm-hmm.
and so now we're gonna go on to pieces that I haven't shown you at all yet, and so I'm kind of like very curious about like
Okay.
your first impressions. So we're gonna move on to the second painting now, and so I'll just show it to you, and I'll just ask you what you think it's about, and I'll tell you what I personally thought for after that.
Okay.
And so like I'm not looking for a specific thing. I can literally just be like whatever you think on the spot.
Those are colors. Those are lines.
Okay, ready? Go.
It's the same thing,
Okay, yeah.
but just different colors.
Okay, yeah.
And why is mine so much darker? And why is there like a heart thing in the middle?
Okay.
And why is yours like dark now?
Okay, that's fair.
And yours is like less vomity. Like
Yeah,
there's more like shapes to it. That's not just like curls like randomly.
Okay. Yeah, and then do you have like any idea like what this is actually about?
Nope. Not whatsoever.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, and so this piece, it's actually about when I was kind of deciding whether to tell you that I love you. And so, because like because this is like for both of us, this is our first relationship, and like at least for me, like this is the first time I feel like I've been in love with someone, at least in a romantic sense. And so I was very like, what does that mean to me? Like, what does it mean to tell someone that? When is the right time? How do I go about this kind of thing? And it wasn't so much that I was freaking out about like doing it right, but I just wanted to understand for myself, what did that mean? And so I kind of like remember like when the moment hit me for like this painting, I was like, oh, I get it. It's like it's kind of like divine inspiration kind of idea. Is very like so that's what like my side tries to convey this time.
Okay.
It's very like it's supposed to be like more like heavenly clouds.
But you're not religious.
Yeah. But I'm not religious, but I like religious imagery for the sense that it can convey a feeling that like everyone kind of understands, even if they don't believe in it.
Okay.
And so for me, it was like at that moment, I was like, oh, like this is a great idea. It like turns all of the chaos and crazy like jolts of energy I had from my first night into like a clear idea. It's like I get it. Like this is what love means to me. I get like this is what you mean to me, etc. And then because this is kind of like a spin-off or like a continuation of the first piece, that's why like yours is kind of like if I took the earth concept from your side and made it more realistic. Like it's a kind of like a landmass that is loosely based off of South America's shape plus a heart.
Oh, that was a heart. Okay.
Yeah, it's both.
Okay, I'm like.
It's both. And it's kind of like set in like a really deep ocean without like much ornamentation to it.
You mean waves?
I meant like no, like sky and clouds.
Oh.
Because usually if you see like a global map, it's usually like a lot of white clouds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I was like all the clouds are on my side and you're a separate thing.
Okay. Okay. I see it. Okay.
Yeah, but I was wondering then like, because for me, I remember the biggest thing that I thought about telling you, like when I wanted to tell you that I love you, I was like, but how do I feel about like what do I want your response to be? Because I think I talked to like a few friends and they're always like, they like sometimes their partner would say it and they wouldn't feel ready, but they would just say it anyways, just to like, just because like it's kind of expected. It's kind of like, oh, if you don't say it back, that looks weird. Or that's a clear faux pas. And then
pause.
it's like a social gaffe.
Oh,
it's like
okay.
because you know it's wrong. Like if someone tells you that they love you and you don't say it back, like everyone knows that's like, oh, something's like iffy about the situation.
Uh-huh.
And so, but I remember like grappling with that a lot, and I was like, but that doesn't, to me, it didn't matter because I was like, I care about this person a lot. It doesn't really matter if we're at the same point right now, as long as I think in the future we will eventually be on the same page. And so that's why I was like, you know, I feel this. I'm gonna tell you, and I don't really care what you say back to me because I'm sure in the future you will eventually reciprocate my feelings.
Okay.
So yeah, I was wondering then like, what was your process of like figuring out whether like you loved me and then whether like you want to say it?
I don't put that much weight to that word,
Okay.
so it didn't. It's like, it's like it shouldn't matter. Like that one word, it shouldn't have that much power over someone.
Okay.
It's just a word.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about how you feel, and if you feel a certain type of way, I don't think it's defined by anyone, and it's kind of how you feel inside. And if it works, it works.
Yeah, and then I guess like so for you, when you eventually like said it, like what did that mean to you? Like why did you say it at the moment that you said it? Or like if like if you were, even if you can't like directly remember.
I don't remember when I said it, to be honest.
Actually, I do. I actually do.
I remember the first time I said it, and you got mad at me, and I said it.
Yeah. Okay.
I remember that one. I remember that.
I remember that one, and I remember the moment where you said it, and I was not mad at you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, because the first one I thought it was. Do you remember?
Yeah, no, it was with
Okay.
friends.
Yeah.
I remember that. I don't, like I said, I don't prescribe that much value to that word, or
Mm-hmm.
so it's like, I think it's a word people say to show affection, but I think there are other ways to show it that is not that word has so much power in the society. I think.
Yeah. I think that's fair. So, because I remember the first time I told you it was at like my place, and I remember like very specifically the reason why I told you was I was just like, so I think we were like in bed and stuff, and I was just like, you know, like I feel like I could do this kind of feeling forever. Like it's just something I like really cherished. I felt very comfortable with you, and I really appreciated being together. And I feel like, to me, I see love as like a long-term kind of commitment thing, and therefore I was like, I feel like I could make that commitment with you. And so now, like for this last piece, which is like a realistic, more realistic portrait of like us with each other, it's like kind of based on, oh, like for example, like how you don't put a lot of value into the words like I love you. Like we like sometimes appreciate or care about different things, like sometimes like how we convey affection, how we like argue about things, like etc. Like it's very different, and I think that comes to the fact that we're just very different people. And I think initially in our relationship I had a lot of trouble with that. I was like, is like, can I be with someone who's so different? Can I, like, sometimes we just don't get each other, and like I would get frustrated. Like I feel like sometimes you wouldn't do things that I feel like I needed or I wanted, and I would be like, why aren't you doing these things? And I feel like over time I've come to realize like I can't place like expectations on you that aren't realistic or like aren't meaningful, because like you said, it's like you can express love in more than just language. It's like in what you do. It's in like how like we act with each other. And I feel like being with you then kind of taught me I have to open up to things that are different, and I also have to appreciate them for what they are. Like, and a lot of this painting then is like, I don't like you for like these weird abstract metaphorical reasons that are kind of the basis of my other paintings. It's like I like you because I like you. Like I really like I've grown to like a lot of your quirks and like how we're different and like how we play off of each other, and I feel like I just really appreciate like the fact that even though we're different, we still kind of work. And okay. So
Is it my turn?
yeah, you can now talk if you want.
I mean, it's the same. I mean, actually, though, because we're both very different people, and initially I was like, he's weird. Now I'm like, he's still weird, but I like him. So I was like, yeah, okay.
What about me did you think was weird, for example?
The childishness of everything. Because most of my friends are very, like, most of my friends are healthcare-ish or healthcare-y, and, like, they're very, like, professional / like, adult, in quotes. Like,
Okay.
the way they act after being more mature.
Uh-huh.
And that's the people I tend to get along with more.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very steep departure from my usual people I hang out with and I'm around. So that was the initial weirdness. And most of my friends who know me and knew a bit about you were like, "Oh, didn't think that would happen."
Mm.
So that, and then everything you said.
Because I remember like I feel like every time I introduced you, everyone was also like, he's not who I thought you would like fall for in any way whatsoever.
No.
And I feel like a lot of that also stems from like you also aren't the person I thought I would like. But I didn't have a clear idea obviously like who I would end up with. But it was never like this like you didn't line up a lot of like things of I thought I either like wanted or I thought was important. And I feel like I think it's taught me a lot about like what actually really matters to me, and like how like love isn't like a whole bunch of like romantic gestures all the time. It's not about like big things. It's also not even sometimes about like verbal affirmation or like whatever. Like a lot of it can just be like enjoying each other's company and making things work, even if you are just fundamentally different people.
I agree. And that's a wrap.
Okay.